Okay, so it would have been great if I could use the Where Eagles Dare theme music, but unfortunately that would have got me 8 to 10 in the pen for a copyright strike, so best not to. So where are we off today? Okay, this is just one of these totally random days where I woke up and thought, let's go somewhere, kill a couple of hours. We're off to a tiny little place in mid-Essex called White Colne, and the reason we're going there, well you'll be able to tell from the the thumbnail. Anyway, growing up in the 80s, my dad and my granddad and that, they were massive fans of World War II movies, and they were spoilt for choice really, because in the sort of post-war era of the 50s through to the 70s, there was huge amounts of feel-good World War II movies created. A lot of the actors had actually served in World War II. It was just one of those really jingoistic boys' own type eras before we got into the more gritty, sort of realistic war movies. Think your Saving Private Ryan, your Hacksaw Ridge, things like that. The era I'm talking about, the good guys always won, and it was, well, totally unrealistic. A lot of them, they're quite inaccurate, a lot of them as well. Anyway, so there was always the good guys, the heroes were always the English or the Americans or the Allies, and then the bad guys were always the Germans. To get someone to play the German part, the officer, what better than to get a genuine German, a tall, blonde, blue-eyed, aristocratic-looking German officer, and that's where this guy that we're going to see his grave today, Anton Diffring, that's where he came into his own. Although I'm talking about Where Eagles Dare, Anton Diffring actually was in quite a lot of movies. He was in the Heroes of Telemark. He also played the German match commentator in Escape to Victory alongside Michael Caine and Sylvester Stallone. And he was also in quite a few horror films as well. But he, in a sort of world hungry for World War II action movies, he was a perfect choice for the German, to play the German officer. And it's actually quite it's both an interesting and quite a sad story. So he wasn't actually born Anton Diffring. He was born in Germany in 1916, and his birth name was Alfred Polak, and his mother's name was maiden name was Diffring. So his mother was a Christian and his father was Jewish. And here's the unbelievable thing. So his father, Jewish resident of Germany, actually managed to avoid being interned and persecuted during the Second World War. He actually was able to remain in Germany, which is pretty unbelievable considering the absolute horrors that were inflicted on the European Jewish community. But Anton himself, he fled Germany, I think it was around about just at the start of the Second World War, slightly before. Nobody really knows why, that's the thing. Yeah, he was half Jewish, but he was also gay. He was a homosexual, and they were one of the unfortunate communities who were heavily persecuted by the National Socialist regime. So perhaps that was why he left. It's a bit of a mystery where he actually went. Some reports say he was interned in Canada, but then that doesn't really make sense, because he actually made a movie during the time he would have been interned. Somehow he ended up England. He learned to speak English very quickly, and he worked as a translator for the War Office. So he actually helped the Allies against the Germans. He actually did try to act in a lot of horror films. I think he played Frankenstein in one of them, and he also, in later life, he was in some of the Doctor Who episodes. But I'll always remember him as Colonel Kramer in the Schloss Adler in Bavaria. I imagine that almost everyone watching this will have seen seen Where Eagles Dare. For those of you that haven't, just go and watch it. It's a really good movie. So it's got everything you'd want from a proper feel-good boys' own sort of thing. It's got action in it. Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood star as two commandos who are dropped into Germany, and they managed to take on the whole German garrison between themselves with nothing more than a few machine pistols. It's totally unrealistic. It's got everything. It's got the action, the adventure, the betrayal, the intrigue, the cracking plot line. It's also got the obligatory beauty in it, with the lovely Mary Ure and, in my opinion, even more lovely Ingrid Pitt, who stars as an undercover operative. I was actually reading a bit more about Where Eagles Dare. So it was actually written for the screen by Alistair MacLean. A lot of people think that it was he wrote the book and then years later it was adapted for the screen. He actually wrote the book for the screen, so it was quite unusual for Alistair MacLean, who had actually served in the Second World War. And the funny thing with Clint Eastwood is, in the movie, he was given, actually originally had a lot more lines as Lieutenant Schaefer from the US Rangers, but when he read it, he thought no, it would be better that Richard Burton got more of his lines. So that's why Schaefer he doesn't really have a lot to say in it. He acts as, he's a more mysterious, sort of quiet American officer. Another interesting fact about Clint Eastwood during the movie, so when they were negotiating their pay for the movie, he got less than Richard Burton because he was the second actor, the supporting actor if you like, but part of his contract included I think it was a Norton motorcycle, so there is a biker motorcycle connection to Where Eagles Dare. And then of course you've got the motorcycle and sidecar action as well in it, in the middle of the snow. Yeah. Just as another note, the lady that plays Heidi, Ingrid Pitt, she was actually a survivor of a concentration camp in the Second World War. She is a Polish lady, and was interned by the Nazis in a concentration camp, and her and her mother managed to escape. One of the main problems that they had in making the movie was Richard Burton's drinking. I mean, it's well documented, his trouble with alcoholism. He was quite depressed and down about his failing marriage with Elizabeth Taylor. He was drinking something like 3 or 4 bottles of vodka a day, so he was quite difficult to manage on set, and he disappeared quite a few times, and they had to halt production while they went looking for him. So the church where Anton is buried, well, it's not actually he's buried, his ashes are buried there, is actually St Andrew's. It's called, as I said, it's in White Colne in Essex. I think there's a gate up here on the right hand side. Yeah, there it is. Get ourselves tucked right in. Wow. Yeah, so I found him down here, just right at the very, if you're looking for it, he's right at the very, very far end of the cemetery. So I'm just being careful because there's obviously graves either side and I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone. This is where Anton's ashes are interred, 1916 to 1989. And this is the thing, I was talking about like the randomness of life and decisions, but it's the randomness of death that also amazes me as well. Because he died in France in 1989, and I can't find anywhere that tells me why his ashes are actually here in White Colne in Essex. If anyone has any idea, or if anyone knows more than what I do, I'd love to hear from you. Please comment and let me know. But I can't find anything. I did think it was possibly because his sister Jacqueline, she also fled Germany around about the same time, and she actually became a sculptor and a teacher, and she taught in Cambridgeshire, which is a neighbouring county not too far away. I thought maybe she came to the church or something like that, but when I looked her up as well, she died quite some time after Anton, but she also died in France, so it seems that they both ended up in the same place in France. So I don't know if there's a connection to that way. I really don't know what the connection is to this particular church or this area. Did he have a lover? You know, because obviously at that time being gay was a very underground thing. People, you know, it was a lot of persecution going on. Would anyone know anything about that? I mean, no one really knows how he died either. It's vaguely mentioned he died of cancer in 1989, but there wasn't actually any inquest into his death. And it was years later, I think it was around about 2012, a friend of his actually said he died from complications relating to an AIDS-related illness. I don't know. If, as I said, if anyone's any idea, please feel free to let me know. Nobody really wants to think about death, do they? But let's face it, it's all going to happen to us all. And I mean, of all the places you'd hope to find eternal peace, somewhere like this, like just, it's absolutely so peaceful here. Just the birds singing. There's no road noise, no nothing. It's really pleasant here. I mean, obviously it's a graveyard, but you know, and there's quite a few recent graves, which is obviously sad, but it does happen. I'm so glad I took this ride out today. Do you know, I've been thinking about doing this for a while. So as I said, he was born as Alfred Polak, and he took the name Diffring. That was his mum's maiden name. I'm not a religious person, but some of these old churches are absolutely beautiful. I mean, it would be nice to have a look inside, but yeah, I feel a bit hypocritical, to be honest. Some of these graves are really old, aren't they? So my map is taking me a different way back, which is perfectly fine with me, because it's a lovely day for a ride. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. It's just been a simple little jaunt out in the country, and this is the thing, no matter where you live, there's always somewhere to go and visit. Folks, I really hope you've enjoyed this one. I have. So I'll leave you now and enjoy the rest of the ride home. As always, guys, until next time, ride often, ride safe.